Hello everyone, welcome to Sunya IAS and welcome to this lecture. आज के लेक्चर में हम बात करेंगे about the failure of airlines in India. Now this is the very leading topic because आप बोलेंगे कि already declare कर दिया कि airlines India में fail कर चुके हैं. ऐसा तो नहीं है because airlines are still operating. There are so many flights going here and there on a regular basis. तो हम कैसे बोल सकते हैं कि हम फेलियर देख रहे हैं एयरलाइंस का. सी द थिंग इज whenever you assess a sector, let's say you are talking about agriculture, you talk about an overall picture of that particular sector. Agriculture को लेके पिक्चर क्या है कि agriculture is very inefficient, agriculture is very unproductive, है ना इंडियन एग्रीकल्चर, और इसीलिए इतनी सारी स्कीम्स चल रही हैं. Similarly, when we talk about airlines, although there is one particular airline, Indigo, अगर आपने भी कभी फ्लाई किया है या करना है या फिर आसपास भी करने को किसी को देखा होगा, mostly people are traveling in Indigo, and Indigo has about 50% market share right now. So Indigo is doing very well for itself, but Indigo does not represent the entire industry. ठीक है? Now UPSC GS3 में there is a topic called infrastructure, wherein there is roads, there is railways, there is ports, and there is airports as well. And overall, the sectors of Indian economy are also to be discussed. So airlines come under tertiary sector. Fine. Of course, the manufacturing aspect of it and everything is there, but it is eventually, it is a service, right? It is a service. So the people employed, let's say the pilots, they are providing a tertiary service to us. There's no as such new manufacturing being done. So it's a service that is being provided. Fine. So why is this suddenly in news? And there is a question expected on it also. Why? Because there is this airline called Go First. Go First. And this Go First has filed for bankruptcy. We discussed this when we discussed the insolvency and bankruptcy code. What is bankruptcy? That whatever debt Go First has taken. First of all, Go First is a loss-making company. But Go First has declared that it cannot recover the amount of debt that it has taken, and that is why it has filed for bankruptcy. Whatever assets now it has now, it is asking people, it is asking the insolvency and bankruptcy tribunal, the National Company Law Tribunal, to resolve that. ठीक है? That is why it is in news. ठीक, अब जब इस पे सवाल आएगा, you have to know a brief background of it. बहुत ज़्यादा background नहीं लिखना है कि एयरवेज तब शुरू हुए थे और अब शुरू हुए थे और कब प्राइवेटाइज हुए. मतलब whatever is the demand of the question, you have to write the facts that you know accordingly. ऐसे नहीं कि जो fact याद आया वही लिख दिया. So if we talk about the pre-independence era, primarily the airlines were used for military purpose. Fine. Primarily the airlines were used for military purpose. The first commercial flight that took off on Indian soil was in 1932. Can you guess the company? Can you guess which company would have done this? Most of you would have thought about Tata only. And yes, it was the Tata Group which actually launched the first commercial flight. So wanted to make flying accessible, and we all know that Air India is now back to the Tatas. So it's like back to being back to square one, being back to square one. Indian Airlines properly in post-independence India were created in 1953. Fine. 3 years after the planning started, the first plan started. And if you remember, the first plan was Harrod-Domar model. Harrod-Domar model. It focused on primary infrastructure and on agriculture. ठीक है? This was towards the second half of the Harrod-Domar model, towards the Nehru-Mahalanobis model. And Nehru-Mahalanobis model aimed at heavy industries. ठीक है? So aircraft manufacturing and overall this industry is a part of the heavy industry category, the manufacturing of aircrafts and whatnot. Although manufacturing happened much later that way, because we imported the aircrafts for a very long period of time. We still do. Manufacturing नहीं होता है उतना aircrafts का, but any which way, the fact was that 1953 में Indian Airlines का establishment होता है and the airlines overall are nationalized. ठीक है? तो ये because we were clearly following a socialist model. So under this Indian Airlines tag, जितनी भी छोटी बहुत एयरलाइंस उस समय ऑपरेट कर रही थी, everything was nationalized. Like the bank nationalization happened, है ना? 2 times the bank nationalization happened. Similarly, airline nationalization also happened. Now, of course, when the entire economy has been liberalized, of course, airline sector will also be liberalized, and it was. So private players came in the 1990s, and that is when the textual benefits of LPG. What are the benefits of liberalization, privatization, globalization? One of the benefits is that for the consumers, it creates a lot of options, right? This is one of the benefits that is stated, and exactly this happened in the airline sector, because today you can fly Delhi to Bangalore or Delhi to Mumbai or Delhi to Kolkata, the metropolitan cities overall, in a range of 5 to 10,000 rupees. Now, I'm not saying that 5 to 10,000 rupees one side is a very small amount. It is a big amount, definitely. But the middle class is now gradually proceeding towards being able to afford airline tickets. And with schemes like Udan, you know, Ude Desh Ka Aam Nagrik, Udan, this fare is further being reduced. ठीक है? तो ये है. Then growth of the industry in the 21st century. If we talk about the 21st century, there was this phenomena called the low-cost carriers. The introduction of these low-cost carriers, what are these carriers? The airplanes. The introduction of these low-cost carriers led to significant reduction in the amount of charges that were applied for these flights. ठीक है? तो फ्लाइट चार्जेस काफी कम हो गए, और एक्सेसिबिलिटी जो आज हमें बढ़ी हुई दिखाई देती है वो बढ़नी शुरू हो गई. नाउ पैसेंजर ट्रैफिक में एक बहुत ही मेजर जंप आया है. ऐसा कोई छोटा मोटा जंप भी नहीं है, बहुत ही मेजर जंप आया है. एंड द जंप हैज बीन फ्रॉम 16 million people to 140 million people. However, the years have also been pretty much away from each other. So, the 16 million people used to travel through air in the year 2000. And when data was collected in 2019, that is about after 2 decades, there is significant increase that is seeing. It is almost a 10-fold increase. ठीक है? तो which is great. It is not a small increase. It could have been, of course, much more. कितना भी हो सकता था, but then it is a significant increase. So that is there. Then coming forward towards the market share. So Indian Airlines, for the sheer size of the Indian economy, is going towards being the third largest airline market in the world. And this is not just because of population. This is also because the disposable income of people is rising, है ना? Disposable income of people is significantly rising, and that is why this market tapping. Domestic air traffic is growing. Indigo market share is a lot. So this is the overall picture of the airline sector in India that seems to be a healthy sector from the outside. But when you write the answer, you have to mention, when you switch the side of the answer, that okay, this is the benefit of airlines, this is the growth, it's healthy growth, 16 to 140 million in about 20 years. So it's a good, you write some of these numbers, you write some of this data. The importance also you write that airlines help us to enhance business opportunities, travel more distance in less time, है ना? Job creation of course होता है. Then infrastructural development, wherever an airport develops, like for instance, Noida Hindon Airport is developing. So when an airport develops, the surrounding areas develop significant infrastructure, just like with highways, just like with roads, just like with railways. ठीक है? Accessibility is improved, educational opportunities are also improved. Why? Because people, the students are able to go out and study, and from outside people are able to come in our country and study. ठीक है? रेलवे से तो आएंगे नहीं, जहाजों से भी नहीं आएंगे, शिप से. So airlines do that. डिजास्टर रिलीफ में बहुत 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 इंपॉर्टेंट रोल प्ले करती हैं, जैसे केदारनाथ cloudburst. The Kedarnath cloudburst in 2013, helicopters and aircrafts actually dropped the food supplies because the people were not able to get out of that area. है ना? So it was because of the airline sector that the population was kept alive over there. है ना? Then geopolitical influence also increases. So today, if our political relations are international, we have a standing in our international system, is because our leaders frequently travel outside. They meet the leaders of other countries. So for example, I'll give you an example. G20 meeting mein Xi Jinping did not arrive, the Chinese premier. So it has not reduced the legitimacy of G20. It has reduced the acceptance of Xi Jinping, that he cannot face the people. But primarily, aircrafts help us to transport the diplomats. Military capabilities, overall transportation, and whatever you say, you know that soft power plays a very, very important role. And without frequent travel, soft power cannot be increased. ठीक है? तो ये कुछ benefits हैं, easy to understand benefits हैं, but overall the problem lies here. ये जो इतने सारे आपको boxes दिख रहे हैं ना, they are all failed airlines. And just look at the number of airlines. हमारे पास railways कितने हैं? We have one Indian Railways, right? Now slowly it is getting privatized, it is getting into PPP model, that is different. But and we have a very high operational ratio also. Our operational ratio in railways is more than 100%. What does it mean? It means that for every 1 rupee, let's say for every 100 rupee the railway is earning, it is spending more than 100 rupees to earn that 100 rupee. So railways is a loss making venture. ठीक है? But railways has not shut down. ठीक है? It is the nerve of entire country. Aircraft के साथ ऐसा नहीं है. Dependency railway से तो कम ही है. But just see the number of failures. Modi Luft Airlines, East West Airlines, वायुदूत Airlines, दमनिया Airways. आपने इनमें से एक के अलावा किसी का नाम सुना नहीं होगा, that is Kingfisher Airlines. ठीक है? NEPC Airlines, Air Sahara का भी शायद नाम सुना होगा, because it was doing very well for itself. Air Sahara was a very vibrant airline and it was doing very well for itself, but then because of spoiled management practices and some supply chain issues, it was shut. Kingfisher Airlines, you all must have read about Vijay Mallya. तो जब बोलते हैं कि पैसे लेके विजय माल्या भाग गया, that means that Kingfisher took a lot of debt and shut it down, shut the company down, and it has not been able to service its debt, right? Then Jet Airways, and most recently it is Go First. So these are all examples of the glaring issues in the airline sector. Of course, when you write, don't write more than 2 to 3 examples, because when you write 2 to 3 examples, the examiner gets the point. ठीक है, ये सारे याद करने की भी जरूरत नहीं है. जो एक एनालिटिकल माइंडसेट आपको चाहिए वो इस एस्पेक्ट में आता है कि why are they failing? Because let's say you are made the, if anyone of you has that kind of background, you are made the civil aviation minister. ठीक है, सिविल एविएशन मिनिस्टर आपको बना दिया जाता है, तो या फिर सिविल एविएशन सेक्रेटरी बना दिया जाता है, तो फिर आप कैसे इस चीज को सॉल्व करेंगे, है ना? ऑलवेज व्हेन यू आर रीडिंग अबाउट एन इशू, ट्राई टू सी कि ये कौन सी मिनिस्ट्री के अंडर आता है, एंड इफ यू आर गिवन द चार्ज ऑफ दैट मिनिस्ट्री, व्हाट आर द प्रैक्टिकल सॉल्यूशंस यू हैव फॉर दैट. एंड ये जो सॉल्यूशंस हैं ये एकदम से ऐसे क्लिक नहीं करेंगे आपको. But when you read the newspaper articles according to this outlook, when you read anything, any problem according to this outlook, कि अच्छा अगर मैं इस मिनिस्ट्री में हूँ और मुझे ये प्रॉब्लम दी जाए तो मैं कैसे सॉल्व करूँ, तो बात बनेगी. प्रॉब्लम हमारे एस्पिरेंट्स के साथ यही होती है दैट एग्जाम क्लियर करने पे इतना ज्यादा फोकस है कि समझ ही नहीं आ रहा है व्हाट इज द एंड रिजल्ट दैट दे वांट, एंड इट्स नॉट द एंड ऑफ योर जर्नी clearing the UPSC exam. आप ऑटो मोड में नहीं जाते हो. That is where it all starts. Okay, so imagine yourself in that situation where you help to solve this problem. So you will understand what are the causes. The first step of resolving a problem is to address that there is a problem. Yes, there is a problem in the airline sector, and then understand the causes. So economic factors, there is high operating cost even in airways. So first of all, the tariff is low, it's getting lower progressively, but the ATF, the fuel, airline turbine fuel, it is very volatile in nature and very expensive also. So just imagine, more than 40% of operating cost of the airlines comes from the airline turbine fuel. ठीक है, मतलब 40% तो आपका फ्यूल ही फ्यूल जा रहा है, विच इज अ बिग डील. मेंटेनेंस कॉस्ट बहुत हाई होता है एयरक्राफ्ट्स का. इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर बहुत लिमिटेड है. सो देर आर सम एयरपोर्ट्स लाइक द दिल्ली एयरपोर्ट, लाइक द बैंगलोर केम्पेगौड़ा एयरपोर्ट, है ना, दिल्ली में इंदिरा गांधी इंटरनेशनल एयरपोर्ट. ये जो सारे हैं, दीज आर वेरी ओवर क्राउडेड. बट जो टियर 2 टियर 3 सिटीज के एयरपोर्ट्स हैं वहां हैं ही नहीं लोग, है ना. पीपल आर नॉट ट्रैवलिंग बिकॉज द टूरिस्ट, इट्स ऑल अ सर्कल. अगर आप एक टूरिस्ट डेस्टिनेशन को डेवलप करेंगे तो वहां पे लोग अपने आप आएंगे, राइट? तो लोग रेलवे से भी आएंगे, एयरलाइन से भी आएंगे, बट क्योंकि टूरिस्ट डेस्टिनेशंस डेवलप नहीं हो रही है टियर 2 टियर 3 में, तो वहां पर नहीं आ रहे लोग, तो ऑपरेशन कॉस्ट वहां पे जा रहा है. हाई टैक्सेस एंड चार्जेस, दिस इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट दैट ATF, basically the petroleum related products are not under GST, and that is why states apply various level of VAT on it. Of course center also applies, but there is so much uncertainty that VAT kabhi bhi aise increase ho jayega, and overall such a high burden that profitability का तो सवाल ही नहीं है ना. Low fare prices, especially with the discounts and all, we don't understand. जैसे मान लो हमने 500 रुपए सेव कर लिए, है ना. प्रोग्रेसिवली जब हर पैसेंजर अपनी एक साइड की टिकट पे 500 रुपए सेव करता है, तो एयरलाइन को कितना बड़ा लॉस होता है वो देखना जरूरी है ना. दैट इज द थिंग. इनइफेक्टिव प्राइसिंग, इकोनॉमिक डाउनटर्न्स, कोविड के टाइम पे बिल्कुल ही जो जर्नीज हैं वो खत्म हो गई, बहुत ही बड़ा झटका लगा एयरलाइंस को, राइट? देन overall there are geopolitical factors as well. There's international competition. Various airlines like Lufthansa is there, the luxury airlines, etc. है ना. There's political instability and infrastructural limitations. जियोपॉलिटिकल फैक्टर्स इतने मेजर नहीं आते हैं. अगर आपको लिखना हो तो आप इनको लास्ट में लिखें, इफ यू गेट द स्पेस फॉर इट. इकोनॉमिक फैक्टर्स सबसे पहले लिखें. फाइनेंशियल फैक्टर्स में ये जरूर लिखें कि द apart from being non-profitable, unprofitable, these airlines take a lot of debt also, lot of उधार also. ठीक है. तो जब ये डेट लेते हैं, जो गो फर्स्ट के साथ हुआ, बैंकरप्ट डिक्लेयर कर दिया कि डेट जो लिया है, जो लोन लिया है, वो वापस हम नहीं कर पाएंगे. सिंपल सी बात है. ठीक है. तो इस चक्कर में इसका अगला स्टेप ये होता है दैट बैंक्स आर वेरी रिलक्टेंट टू गिव मनी टू एयरलाइंस, कि ये तो कल को बंद हो जाएंगे, फिर देंगे नहीं पैसे. सो देयर इज लिमिटेड एक्सेस टू कैपिटल ऑल्सो. Then there is foreign exchange risks as well. If there is foreign investment in Indian Airlines, which 100% under automatic route is allowed, FDI in airlines. So if there is some instability, some foreign exchange differentiation, then there will be massive blow to the airlines. ठीक है. Fluctuating fuel prices, this is a major concern. Then market factors, this is a very major factor. This should be the second or the third one that you write. Now that Railways is upgrading itself a lot, the only advantage if that the trains have, that the planes have, is the time. So if someone has time on them, they will invariably choose the Railways. They're cheaper, they're better, and they're more comfortable also. I mean, I can tell you my personal example. Recently, I went to Rajasthan. So I had the opportunity of booking a flight, and it was just 1,000 rupees more expensive. But I took the train. Somehow I just seemed to like the train journey more. I had the time on me. So I did that. ठीक है. तो ये मतलब always know that whatever behavioral patterns you are showing, many people across the country are showing the same patterns, and in a country like India, you always play on economy of scale. ठीक है. So if someone like me who can afford to spend that 1,000 rupees more on the airline tickets on one side is not spending that, that will be a broad pattern across the country. ठीक है. Then there is intense competition and the, what do you call it, the predatory pricing. Predatory pricing. Fine. That whenever a new player will come in the market, it will give such less prices to its tickets just to gain a consumer base, that for that period of time the rest of the airlines will suffer, and eventually the new player will also suffer, because the new player will not be able to sustain this kind of predatory pricing also for a very long period of time. Then there is a lot of disruptive technology. So for example, the concept of bullet trains, right? Recently the Namo Express has been launched. High speed railways. Then there will be multiple further technologies that will be introduced. So अब इस सिनेरियो में बहुत प्रॉब्लम आएगी एयरक्राफ्ट्स को, एयरवेज को, to sustain themselves. Then there's market saturation, overall market saturation, the number of players that are there. जैसे दो तीन सेक्टर्स हैं. एक सेक्टर तो आपका एयरक्राफ्ट है, एयरलाइंस का है. एक आपका टेलीकॉम सेक्टर भी काफी सैचुरेटेड है. मेनी प्लेयर्स केम, मेनी प्लेयर्स ट्राइड, बट ओवरऑल 2 से 3 प्लेयर्स ही रह गए हैं मार्केट में, और वो भी तीसरा एलिमिनेट होने वाला है. देयर इज जस्ट जियो एंड एयरटेल नाउ, है ना. वोडाफोन आइडिया एलिमिनेट ही होने वाला है. सो दैट इज देयर. देन ऑपरेशनल फैक्टर्स में पुअर मैनेजमेंट, लेबर डिस्प्यूट्स. एयर इंडिया के जो एम्प्लॉयज हैं उनका कई बार वो चीज आता रहता है कि सैलरीज रिलीज नहीं हुए हैं बहुत टाइम से, एक्सेट्रा. फाइन. Safety concerns, weather and environmental factors overall. Though thankfully we have not had a major airline accident, but then and especially mid-air collision and these kind of crashes have not happened, but the kind of accidents that we have had is the runway is shorter and the aircraft would end up sliding into the valley because the runway is shorter, है ना. So these kind of accidents have happened. One very major one happened in 2010. One has happened recently. Thankfully, the number of casualties were less in the last one. But overall, yes, safety concerns थोड़े से रहते हैं. कई बार ऐसी news आती है, major accident was averted in this particular airline. तो वो एक psychology create करता है that Indian airlines are not safe. ऐसा नहीं होना चाहिए. Then if there is airline failure, किस तरीके का impact होगा हमारी economy पे? This is the converse of the importance of airlines. ठीक है, अगर कोई चीज important है तो अगर वो चीज नहीं होगी तो जो जो उसकी importance है वहीं पे वो चीजें reflect होंगी. जैसे GDP decline होगा. So right now about 5% of GDP comes from the airline sector overall. It's not just the ticket pricing. It's everything that the infrastructure that the airlines have created. 5% comes from the airlines. ठीक है, which is a huge number. Foreign investment reduce होगा. Airline sector is a very vibrant sector जहाँ पे foreign investment होता है, right? Then increased airfare. ये होगा ही अगर if the profitability does not increase. Let's say, why don't we induct longer planes which are able to include more people in them so that economy of scale can be achieved. ठीक है, तो वरना एयरक्राफ्ट का जो एयरफेयर है वो इंक्रीज होगा. लॉस ऑफ जॉब्स. सो दिस इज अ मेजर फैक्टर दैट most people don't talk about because the number of people that are employed in this sector is not that much. It is directly, it is 250,000 people who are employed by the Airways, airlines. Fine. But then this 250,000 also has a lot of multiplier effect, right? This is 250,000 people spending money and creating a multiplier effect. Then there will be ripple effects on related industries. As I told you, whenever an airport comes up, whenever a airline develops, ancillary industries definitely develop, right? So for example, transportation, tourism, aviation fuel supplies, ancillary services, all of this will suffer. So it's a converse. If tourism does not develop, the airlines will suffer. If airlines do not develop, tourism sector will suffer. है ना? Now, let's talk about the efforts that have been taken to stop the failure of these airlines. The very first I have already told you, उड़े देश का आम नागरिक, उड़ान. And Udaan is a regional connectivity scheme. Fine. So it will not just focus on Delhi to Mumbai, Delhi to Kolkata, Mumbai to Bangalore. No. It would create clusters and try to build up that kind of traffic in those clusters and increase the profitability. So it will work two ways. It is working two ways, in fact. For the consumer, it is making airlines more affordable. And for the airlines, it is making profit more and more possible by achieving economies of scale, because now even the common person would be going for the flights. Then there is National Civil Aviation Policy. National Civil Aviation Policy that was released in 2016. Now this National Civil Aviation Policy has certain very set targets. So for example, one of the targets that you can write is, it aims at 50 crore ticket sales per year by the year 2027. So if the National Civil Aviation Policy goes according to plan, there should be 50 crore annual ticket sales to and fro, everything combined by 2027. Then another, by 2027, the goal is to achieve 10 million tons of cargo being transported by the aircraft. Cargo transportation is pretty profitable that way. So 10 million tons of cargo transportation should happen. Then Digi Yatra. Digi Yatra is aiming and has aimed at hassle-free airport experience. Many people don't go to airport because there is such a long waiting and such like checks and whatnot. Okay? They would rather go to the railways, or rather if it's a short distance, so they would not go for the airways. ठीक है, तो डिजी यात्रा का क्या फोकस है कि हैसल फ्री एक्सपीरियंस हो, बार बार बोर्डिंग पास ना मांगा जाए, बार बार ये चीजें जो है वो ना हो. Then of course there is Make in India scheme, and airlines is one of the 25 identified sectors wherein 100% FDI is allowed under automatic route. That means there's no government interference, and foreign companies can come, they can invest, and they can enhance the productivity. Then there is greenfield airports. Greenfield airports. What is greenfield and brownfield? Brownfield means that there was some kind of industry already existing. You are bolstering that industry or increasing that industry. Greenfield means you are starting something from scratch. So greenfield airport policy is aiming at creating 21 new airports. Now 21 looks like a very small number as such, but the kind of, again, ancillary industries that it will create, the kind of traffic that it is going to bring, like the Indian Airport I was talking about, right? That is there. Then there is NAB. NAB is basically Next Gen Airports for Bharat. It is Next Gen Airport for Bharat. What is the key here? It's next gen. So like we talked about Digi Yatra, the next gen airports would be more futuristic, would be having more convenient facilities for the customers, because today's customers are pretty impatient, you know, always on the phone, not willing to wait a lot. So the airports would further try कि घंटों घंटों जो पहले बुला लिया जाता है, maybe there will be a time जहाँ पे आपको फ्लाइट से सिर्फ आधे घंटे पहले जाना पड़े, right? Right now the policy is that you go, if you want to be safe and all, if you don't want to have the risk of missing your flight, you go at least 2 hours before to the airport. So 2 hours is not a small time, right? So, and when you go to the airport, you end up waiting for about 40 minutes, 45 minutes, right? So that is there. So what can the government do further, apart from the steps that government has already taken? What can the government further do? See, instead of just announcing subsidies as a populist measure and as an ad hoc measure to win elections, why don't the government agencies look for subsidies and give subsidies to the airline sector according to their performance? That okay, you have tried to, जैसे Indigo है या फिर कोई भी airline है, just trying to make that mark and providing good services, good customer review and whatnot. You reward that airline through subsidies, that okay, we will reduce your VAT, है ना, because you've been providing good customer service. Reduce taxes and fees, encourage private investment. So remove this entire thing, because being the most populous country of the world, है ना, if we are not able to create more airline traffic, then who will do that? We have the most amount of people in the world in our country. Incentivize domestic manufacturing, because then it will, again, employment will be generated, more demand will be created, more supply will be there. Extend the collaboration with foreign companies. Then Modern technology has to be adopted, like artificial intelligence, for instance. There was a time when air traffic control, ATC, was a completely manual affair. So what is ATC? ATC means that whichever planes are in the radar of that air traffic control, they are keeping a live check on that particular airplane. And ATC at one point was called the most stressful job of the world. Because even if you have to track, let's say, 5 planes at one point, you have to make sure that every plane is traveling at a different altitude. है ना? They're not coming in each other's line. Because even mid-air, there are routes that are created. ऐसा नहीं कि कोई भी plane कहीं पे भी चलता है. There are mid-air routes that are created. है ना? Same with sea, same with the air. ठीक है, तो ये जो है, ATC used to be the most stressful job in the world. Now it has been mechanized. अभी भी human element बहुत high है इसमें. Still it is a very stressful job. So we have to invest on artificial intelligence to reduce this stress. When the stress reduces, the chances of crashes also reduce. ठीक है, तो फ्यूल ट्रैकिंग एंड ग्राउंड टाइम, ये सारी चीजें ट्रैक हो रही हैं उस हिसाब से. अच्छा, किस एयरक्राफ्ट को कितना टाइम हो गया है, लाइफ कितनी बची है, सेफ फ्लाइट्स और कितने लिए जा सकते हैं, है ना, कितना कार्गो कैरी किया जा सकता है, ये सब ऑटोमेट हो जाना चाहिए. एवरीथिंग शुड बी ऑटोमेटेड, राइट. improve in-flight experience. So if like the difference between economy class and business class, with the huge difference in the prices, the difference should be brought slowly towards the economy also. I'll tell you why. Because business class people, the people who travel business class, are very few. They're a handful. But if you give even, let's say, a few features of the business class flights to the economy class, let's say the headgear, the headphones you give, and a screen you give, maybe. Or maybe, let's say, a free meal, a small meal, a free snack, or something like that. The amount of people who will buy the ticket because of that add-on will be huge. That is how mentality works. That is how consumer mentality works. ठीक है? So this should be done. Next gen technology में invest किया जाए. Then even the airlines should invest in new avenues. There should be ancillary industries that they are investing in. Fine. Extend partnership, like it has happened in the Vodafone Idea case in telecom. There can be airlines which club together and achieve economies of scale by clubbing together. है ना? Aircrafts merge हो जाएंगे, staff merge हो जाएगा, everything will be better. Offer ancillary services. So why not the airlines tag along with the tourism sector, and nudge the people towards going towards a certain place? है ना? Improve the aircraft utilization, reduce the ground time, reduce the time which an aircraft is spending standing on the ground. The time that is being spent on the ground should be only that much time that is required for maintenance. Machines do not need rest. Machines need overall oiling, repairing, maintenance, and they can immediately then go back to work. That is how machines work. So on-ground time has to be minimized, and in-air time has to be maximized. Improving airport infrastructure, offer incentives, and collaborate with airlines. So overall, airlines and the sector of airlines is extremely important if India is to achieve the goal of being a developed nation by 2047. Okay? A developed nation cannot be having an ailing airline sector. Please understand that. Okay? So in case you require the PDFs for this particular lecture, you can get the content in the Sunya IAS books that we release. है ना? You can order the books. You can also join our Telegram channel, wherein you will be updated with the various PDFs, various links for the PDFs. And yes, I hope you all benefited out of this lecture. This is extremely important for your GS3, and I hope now you have enough points to write a very, very good answer, be it a 10 marker or a 15 marker on the airlines in India.